Hey guys, this is Valentina Palladino for Ars Technica, and today I'm here with the new Samsung Chromebook Pro. So along with the Samsung Chromebook Plus, these two devices are built for Android apps as well as Chrome OS. So they're the first Chromebooks that are kind of designed for both. So Google announced that the entire Play Store would be coming to Chrome OS very soon, and some older Chromebooks will be seeing it, not many, but these are some of the first new devices coming out that will be able to run Android apps on top of Chrome OS. So I've been using this for a couple of days, so let's talk about the good things and the bad things about using Chrome OS and Android in the same platform. So the first good thing about the Chromebook Pro is its design. So if you're familiar with any other Chromebooks, you'll notice that this is most like the Chromebook Flip from Asus because it's a complete convertible. So it can lie completely flat when you fold it into tablet mode. It has a 12-inch display, full keyboard, and it's really sturdy. So you can kind of carry it around like you would a laptop and you're not going to have any fall down of the display. And Samsung has also added a stylus to it. It's very similar to the S Pen, even though they're not really calling it that. So it's just a stylus that kind of hides in the actual device itself. It's shorter than a real pen, like a normal stylus or a real pen, but it gets the job done. You can just hide it in right here. It also has two USB Type-C ports that are Thunderbolt capable, and it's pretty light. It's about 2.3 pounds. So overall, I think the design really lends itself both to Chrome OS and Android apps, especially because there is a touchscreen involved in this device. So you kind of get the full experience. You're not compromising in any way. And it's a very sturdy device. It's one that I really enjoyed using in the couple of days that I have been using it. So a couple things I should mention about the stylus that comes with the Chromebook Pro is that Samsung really tried to make the writing experience more natural with this stylus than other stylus that you could use. So what they did, they tried to perfect the friction that happens between the pen's point and the glass display so that it feels more like a regular writing experience, like you're writing with a pen on paper. And what they also did is they built a machine learning algorithm into the device so that it will almost predict where the pen is going to go next based on where you had the pen before. So all of this is supposed to make the writing experience and the drawing experience more like pen on paper, and it is pretty good. Right now I'm in Art Canvas, which is an Android app, but I did try to use this in Evernote, and I think the connection was a little weird, as in the internet connection, and Evernote was also trying to force me into portrait mode. There was more latency I noticed in Evernote than there was in something like Art Canvas. So it might have to do with the app and how well it's connected or just how it interacts with the pen, but more often than not, I found that the latency is very good. There's not a lot of it. It is a better writing experience than some of the other stylus I have used. Another good thing about the Chromebook Pro is its performance. So let's quickly talk about the difference between the Chromebook Pro and the Chromebook Plus from Samsung. So they're both exactly the same devices. The only thing that's different is their processor. So the Chromebook Plus has a ARM processor inside of it, and it starts at $449. And the Pro, what we have here, has an Intel Core M processor in it and starts at $549. The performance of the Core M is really good. I was able to kind of use this as my regular work computer for a couple of days, and it performed really well. It was really fast. I was able to have multiple tabs open, multiple Android apps open at the same time, and not really experience any slowdown. So we only really have a few benchmarks that we can use to assess a Chromebook's performance, since Chrome OS is very different from all the other operating systems on laptops. But we did download a few of the Android app benchmark apps that we would use on an Android smartphone. So they were able to run properly, and the performance tests showed that the Intel Core M processor in this Chromebook performed pretty much the same as other Core M processors in other devices like tablets and other convertibles. So while that test is really made for Android devices, Android smartphones, in regular use, I didn't have a problem using this for my web-based productivity and work. Another good thing about the Chromebook Pro is overall the Android app experience. I did find that a lot of the Android apps that I would use regularly do work pretty well, and they are more fully thought out and more thoughtful, complete apps than any of the apps that you're going to find in the Chrome Web Store, which are full of apps that are made specifically for Chrome OS. So I really did enjoy using apps like YouTube and Docs and even Evernote, Slack, things like that. They worked fine on this device. It's a really good experience that Needs some fine tuning, but overall we're off to a good start. So now on to the not so great things about the Chromebook Pro, and a lot of these we'll see have to do with the experience of Android on a Chrome device. So the first thing is that not all of the Android apps that are available are going to translate well onto a device with this type of hardware. So for example, I downloaded the Evernote app to my device, and the first time I booted it up, it kind of forced me into portrait mode, even though I was using it as a tablet in landscape mode. So there are some issues there with compatibility, which you can typically get around, and you can kind of, fuss out the little details. But it was a little bit jarring at first to kind of be forced into portrait mode versus landscape mode. And some of the apps also don't fit full screen onto this device. They're meant for smaller screens. They're built for, Android smartphones. So some of them you will have to use as minimized windows, contained windows, but use the app in that smaller space rather than filling the screen with them. Another issue in the same vein is that for certain apps that require certain hardware features, you're not going to be able to use them to their fullest extent. So take, for instance, any kind of photo sharing or just photo app like Snapchat or Instagram. This device does not have a rear camera like Android smartphones do. I mean, you could use the 720p webcam that's on this facing you, but it's not exactly the same experience as using Snapchat or Instagram on a smartphone like they're meant for. Another thing that you can kind of get around is GPS. Most phones have GPS in them, but this does not have a GPS chip inside of it. I did download Google Maps, the Android app, and it did work pretty well because it uses Wi-Fi access points to kind of glean your location. Another big one is any apps that require an SMS number or a text messaging phone number to use. So with Facebook Messenger per se, you can log in using your Facebook account, and so you can still use Messenger on a Chromebook. However, you won't be able to use WhatsApp because WhatsApp requires an SMS number for use. So if you kind of keep that in mind, you will kind of know which apps you can use on a Chromebook and which you can't currently. Those might change in the future, but right now you definitely may have access to a lot of apps, but not all of them might work because of the hardware constraints of a Chromebook. The last not so good thing is price. I don't think that this price is necessarily that bad. So for the Chromebook Pro, like I said before, it's $549. And with it, you get that Core M processor, you get 4 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of storage. So it's kind of typical Chromebook specs. The performance is really good on this. I don't know if I'd recommend going down to the Plus version with the ARM if you're going to be using this for a lot of regular work use, because with this the performance was good, but it could definitely slow down if you have too many things open. But it is expensive in terms of Chromebooks. For example, the Asus Chromebook Flip, which has similar hardware to this, it costs $240. So there are going to be people who do not want to spend over $500 or even over $400 for that matter on a Chromebook that still just runs Chrome OS, still runs a browser-based operating system. There are more expensive Chromebooks as well, like Dell's Chromebook 13 that they kind of made with workers and businesses in mind, that you can spec up and you can spend almost $800 on one of those. So it's kind of in the middle. And I think that if you're going to go with one of these Samsung Chromebooks, the new ones, I would recommend the Pro over the Plus sheerly for the performance that you're going to get. I think that the Android experience is good, and I hope it gets better. Because with this type of form factor, I would hope that more companies would come out with convertibles for Chromebooks, because it basically turns your device into an Android tablet. And that can be really useful, especially when you have a stylus as well and a touchscreen. So you can really do so much with this. And of all of your work and everything that you do, any of your entertainment, if it's all solely based on the internet, this is kind of everything that you need. So I do think that the combination of operating systems, Chrome OS and Android with the Play Store, is a good one. I think it's a smart idea, and I think that for right now, a lot of the apps work really well and you'd be able to do many things with it. Hopefully in the future, Google would be able to kind of resolve the issues of perspective and resizing issues with a lot of the Android apps, and work with developers to encourage them to kind of tweak their Android apps for Chrome. And especially since a lot of them do work pretty well already, I think that there's a lot of potential here. If you get a Chromebook now and you want to use some sort of an app or a program, I would definitely recommend going to the Android app first and seeing if there are any issues with it before trying to find an equivalent on the Chrome Web Store, because there's still not a lot of equivalents. A lot of developers aren't making their apps into Chrome Web Store apps. So you would have a better time finding an Android app for a program that you already use. So overall, it gives me hope for Chrome OS because I think the added value of Android apps really boosts the things that you can do with Chrome OS. It's still an internet browser-based system, but you can definitely do a lot more with programs that you're probably already more familiar with now that it has access to the Play Store and Android apps.